Hi guys, welcome back to Eminem's channel, and today's subject I'm going to talk about the birth of my little boy. Now my little boy was born 10 weeks early. I'm not going to go into so much detail, but I'm hoping this video will give you an insight into Nicu wards, equipment, things that, I can't really explain it without showing a photo. This is my son. He was born 10 weeks early, and he has so many things attached to him. Now, my little boy is now 4, and he's happy, he's healthy, but he went through a lot. And I mean, a lot of things were going on with him when he was born. So, Jack Smalley was born on the 15th of September, and he was 2 pounds, 8 ounces. So a very small baby. I've seen smaller, but he was quite a small baby, and he was my first. So dealing with that was another difference for me. I was expecting to get the little baby in a towel, that experience, and I ended up with this baby here. Now, as you can see, he's attached to a big tube here. That was his breathing tube, which was helping him to breathe when he was first born. So he was breathing, but the machine was helping him. And this was called CPAP. And CPAP is a consistent pressure where it's helping the lungs to inflate over an amount of time with air. After time, they demoted him to a different one, but he was still on an oxygen machine. Now, there is different machines they use for premature babies. Like this photo looks very blue because he is under a jaundice lamp. A jaundice lamp gives them the natural sunlight to mature their skin. So it's very blue, and if you stare at it a long time, your eyes get a little sore. I'm also going to be showing you what's in my memory box, which I've kept over the years. I've not kept everything, but I've kept equipment and things like that. The name for the NICU ward is Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Now, there's different rooms for different babies, depending on their care or intensity of the care. So, if they're very young babies, they'll probably start in room 1 and then work their way to what they call a nursery area. So my son started out in room 1, and then he made it to room 3 because I started off at Burnley General Hospital because that was the best place to have my son, which, it was a good place and they did save his life. My son he's all grown up now. He's going to turn 4 this September, so it's quite good. But when they're upgraded from the oxygen, like the CPAP, they'll have this little nose thing, which is an oxygen tube that goes up the nose, little 2 prongs up the nose, and it keeps a constant airflow just to keep their oxygen trace high, so they have 100% of oxygen. If it goes too far down, they'll up the oxygen so it goes up their nose. Also on this picture, you'll see their little green tube. He had to be tube fed for quite a while because he couldn't swallow, so it was quite an experience. But I'm going to show the box that I have that has a lot of the equipment, bits and bobs. So this is a box I have for my son. A nice little keepsake box. I'm going to put it this side. It's a little keepsake box I have. So we'll start off with this long wire here. This wire attaches to a machine, and this goes on the baby's tummy. Now this thing goes on the baby's tummy to monitor the breathing. So if they stop breathing for a certain amount of time, the machine will bleep and tell the nurses. The problem is with this, they have to, it's not sticky at all. So if it moves and it's not on the child's skin, it'll freak the machine out. So you have to make sure that you either stick it somewhere where it won't move, or it happened a lot, but as long as you stay calm or something happens, always ask your doctor or nurse about it. Sorry, I have a very, very bad nose today. These are the size nappies he wore. They were quite small. This is a clean one, but I thought I'd keep one. But they are very small. If you see compared to my hand, they're very small. They do smaller, but these are the Pampers version, which I think I might. Yes, Pampers version 0. But they also do Premie nappies, which are even smaller. But when my son was born, I had to kind of like fold the nappy so it would fit, even with the Premie ones. So, you know, you'll upgrade to different sizes, and most hospitals will provide cotton balls and nappies and things like that. They really do provide a lot. As I told you, my son is in hospital a lot. Let me just find the right one. So, as you can see, he has like tons and tons of different bracelets he's worn. So he has like loads of them, like so many of them. So he's been in different hospitals like Burnley and Manchester. They also have these, which I don't want to move because it's got my son's foot size, which is technically the size of my little finger. It's very tiny, just to see the size. It's a very small finger and it actually fits snug. Now this takes the baby's blood pressure, so it fills up with air, but it's just a small one. But it just plugs in and they check his blood pressure to make sure it's not too high or not too low. But I have 2 of those, so I have... This one would be the larger one, so it's quite wide. But this is probably for like when he was a little bigger, but they still used to check his blood pressure. This one would go around his foot to also monitor his oxygen levels and his heartbeat and things like that. And what they would do is stick it on his foot and wrap it with like bandage tape. And this would plug into a machine that would monitor to make sure they was just like checking on his heartbeat, make sure it's regular, not irregular, and things like that. Also, this little thing is what they wear with the jaundice lamp, because he's wearing a little, you know, little pair of shades, but they also give them these little masks that go around their head, and it hooks to the back of the head there and then the top, but then it comes with a pair of sunshades so they don't get like blinded. But they're also adjustable, so it's like Velcro, so you can adjust it to their size head. Let's see what else is in here. So my son was born with a pink hat, which I always ask the nurses why, but this is the actual first size of the hat. It's very, very small, very, very tiny head. But yeah, it's very weird to think about it. And then he upgraded into a grey hat. It's pretty cool. He also had this attached to him on his little incubator thing. Jack Smalley, and tells what nurses were looking after him and date of birth and weight. Tells him what like mum and dad and things like that. It's so the nurses know like their general information about him. Just shift these are all like old drawings with my son. So this is a box I got from Lancaster, which they do give you a little keepsafe box, which is kind of cute. But as you can see, the pictures match, so you know which one it goes with. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. So in here are the cutest things I've ever seen. These are premature dodies, and they're super tiny. I mean, if you see my hand and the size of the dodie, it's like really, really tiny. So my son used to love having those, so I kept a few because they're like little. But I also kept my son's umbilical cord because, you know, they said if I wanted to. And then it's a bit sticky. I also kept these, which most people don't keep them, but I do because I'm different, I suppose. It's a lot to deal with, but I kept his wires, which attached to different machines to monitor his like oxygen levels, his heartbeat, his body temperature and things like that. They are a bit old because they're like 4 years old, but they come with this cute little design of a teddy bear, so it's kind of cute. And then my son came with tape. He came with tape because when he was born, he had a bleed on the brain. Now, it has fixed itself slowly over time. And what they used to do is they used to get this tape and they put it around his head and measure how big his head was. Because over some time, he got bigger and bigger. And they weren't sure if he would need a shunt or not. So, after time, they did measure and did tests and things like that. And it turns out it was getting smaller. But they sent us to Manchester General Hospital to just make sure that the doctors were checking and make sure there was not too much pressure or anything, you know. And then I also kept in this bag some of my baby clothes that I used to wear. So, kind of like super tiny clothes. And I've not nearly washed them because, you know, it's kind of a moment where you think, you know, I want to keep the cuteness, because look at the size of that. Isn't it? Look at the size of my head. It's so cute. I mean, this one was the first one that he ever wore. It was pretty big. It's like so baggy on him. It was like really cute. But, I mean, I couldn't even find clothes. I mean, these were even too big for him. But there is places out there that will actually make you your own custom clothes if you look good enough. I mean, I saw a mum in the neonatal unit myself, and I think it was Burnley and a woman had custom made clothes, which I think is fantastic. But I remember I went into just a general Asda we have in Britain, and the only clothes they had were the like Premier version, but it was like £5, and Jack was merely £3, so he wouldn't even fit in it. And you know, I was sat in tears because I knew he wouldn't fit. And I didn't, in my head, I thought he'd never fit, but he is a very big boy now. Also, these, most pregnancy women will know what these are. These go around your belly, and the baby monitoring heart thing goes through the hole, and they stick it to you to monitor the baby. But I kept mine because they mean a special thing. And then there's these, which is a measuring tool they used to do for his feeding tube. What they would do, they would ask me to express milk, which I might have to go into a different video for this, but they'd get me to express milk. They'd take a certain unit, they'd syringe it out, and they'd attach it to his feeding tube, and then just like push. And they do it very slowly, and you could see it it looked like a silly straw to me, and you just see it go up his nose, and that tube goes right down his throat and into his belly. So it would technically feed him, but he wouldn't have to physically swallow. He would just lie back and do that. But when he was, I'm trying to think now, I think he was like 5 weeks older than 10 weeks. They said they should try him on milk and try him with little bottles and things, and he just seemed to love it. So after that, we just bottle fed and things like that. I didn't really breastfeed myself. I just expressed milk and things like that. What else have we got here? We also have this, which what they used to do is with expressing milk, you'd have to warm it up. So there'd be a machine where you'd get this, you put the milk in it, and you put the milk in the machine, and then you'd sit it down. Hold on 1 minute. They'd sit it down, and they close this little flap, and it heats the milk up for you, so it would be nice and warm. I mean, it was generally, you had to maintain it yourself, so it's like, you'd clean all the bottles out yourself, you'd sterilise everything. It would literally, you'd do it yourself like you'd be at home, but it'd be like a hospital environment. It also came with bowls. So when they start out, you don't have baby wipes. We'd use warm water and cotton buds, which, you know, was kind of cool. And then he'd have these things here. Like, I don't think you can see this. See if I can focus on it. It's got his name on it, and it says date of birth, date expressed, and time of defrost. So it means you have to write down the date you've expressed the milk on the label, and then you'd have to put, if it was frozen, you'd have to date and time then you defrosted the milk, because it had a certain time, you know, with milk, so you had to be careful of not leaving it out or, you know, making it go and cross contamination. These were also used to hold on the clips and equipment, so like I think it's one of these, no, yeah, like this. It would go around his foot and then they'd strap it on like this, so it would hold it safe, and it's adjustable by Velcro, so it's pretty good. So I don't think there's anything else in my little box really I can show. I think that's everything. I'll just check to see if there is anything. I think there's just stuff over here. I think that's everything. But, you know, it's a lot to take in. You've just got to go with it. But the only thing I can give you is just go with it. You know, you're strong. You're a strong person. I mean, even with this, you went to Greater Manchester Hospital in the neonatal intensive care unit. Now, he's 4 years old. He's a big boy. And no matter what, you are strong. And you can do this. So, thanks for listening anyway for my story. But thank you so much, you know, for taking the time to listen. And yeah, like, subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment. And I'd love to answer and see what you say. So, cheers and bye.